We're here to help you work on your production to make sure that any third-party material that you want to license for use in your show is licensed and it's okay to include, because as we know, there's a lot of minefields when it comes to using third-party materials. Sometimes you think everything's just fine, hunky-dory, it's public domain, and it isn't.
When I get all the PGA screeners or Television Academy screeners every year, it's always one of our people is listed in there. So I know that the producers out there are utilizing the best of the best people who can, be an asset to the production companies.
Only an attorney and a judge can determine fair use. And there is certain criteria that you have to use to determine. It's not just, 8 seconds. It's not just necessarily a comedy or a parody. They have to really look at that specific thing. And I always like to tell people when they say, well, I'm going to fair use my entire documentary. Well, okay, but what it is you actually have to fair use each and every instance.
It's about commentary. There must be a direct commentary about that video. It cannot be just for a B-roll purpose. People like us don't really like fair use for the most part because our job is usually licensing, but what's happened is it's slipped into all production now, I think primarily because of the nature of the internet. 25
of the clips are perfect. Lawyer goes, hey, these are great. On these other two, they're too long. You need to change this. Or, you're not really saying enough about that, but you're talking sort of about it ahead of time. Can you talk some more about it? Does somebody else say something? So can we make a commentary, more commentary?
Part of the thing about the deliverables and the rights binders is that you don't want this, and I don't know if it affects you guys so much as it would affect the production company unless you own a production company. Like when I work for and I get a call a year and a half later and they're looking for a release, and I'm like, I don't know where the release is, because the network has now audited their show and is holding the $80,000 final payment over one freaking release.
If there is a claim against fair use, the deductibles starts at 10 grand each claim.
That you have to pay out of your own pocket.
So if it's the production company on the hook for it, you can understand why they wouldn't want to claim fair use. You might not even get a claim for a year or so, but you can be sure that if there's a fair use claim against something that a studio might have included as fair, as fair use, the lawyers have it in their notes. Oh yeah, this was okay because blah blah blah. They already made the argument. This is done behind the scenes and way ahead. We get calls all the time where people, they literally have, we're gonna enter our thing in the festival. It's coming up next month, and we need you to clear some stuff. It's like, well, how long have you been working on your film? Oh, 3 years. It's like, wait a second. You might have called somebody earlier on. A lawyer's going to help you figure out those issues that in an early cut, when you show it to them, to say, hey, where did you get that? Or what's the deal with this material? And by waiting too long, I think you're gonna hamper yourself a little bit, or you run across things that you just didn't think of. And I really think that it's wise to hire an attorney and actually hire a rights and clearance person if you need somebody to do that work for you sooner, because sometimes you can have people do work, because I've worked on projects where it's like a flurry of activity at the beginning and then they're cutting and then they come back and we need some additional material, we need this or that. And so it's kind of a process, it depends. And then there's other shows where, like John and I have been working on series, so we're full-time there every day for months. Now I always tell these attorneys to make sure that it's written in English and that it's, what I mean is not legalese. That's what I mean. In other words, that it's simple enough that the average person can read it and understand it, not 5 pages of gobbledygook that everybody's like, I'm not gonna sign this, So you want to have a release that's hopefully 1 page, that is written so that it's clear and just, to the point. And you also want to make sure that they indemnify you. Now, some people won't, but you want to make sure that that's in your release.
I ask them, have they licensed before? I ask them, what is acceptable to them, because I don't want to diminish their, property. But the thing is, like, the producers want to pay $200 for a clip, meaning like a YouTube clip. But when you go out in the real world, those people are looking for like $1,500.
So I've even worked on projects where they actually made us a brand new print, struck a brand new print on some movie in the 40s for us so that we could then have it, then transferred and whatever, but it was simply because they didn't have it available and they wanted to make sure it was good. Part of our job, we're like little detectives, the research and clearance people, is we spend all day trying to find something because somebody, I remember a clip of such and such and you know, whatever, or they say, well, I found this, how come you can't? It's like, I'm going, well, you found it on YouTube and it's at 240p, you know, or whatever, and you can't look at it and it's not gonna, nobody's gonna be able to play it. And it's actually owned by Sony. And we can actually go to Sony and get the high res. That's the beauty of being able to call places like Getty or like, you know, Shutterstock or any of the other places or any of the news state, you know, the ABC, NBC, and CBS, which is through WAZI, they sell news footage. So if you were looking for particular news footage on a particular story, you know, that's what they're in the business for. That, you know, so everybody's out there. There's plenty of companies, and it just totally depends on what it is, what project you're doing. I've licensed things all over the world from individuals, from people, and it's, you know, you just never know where you're going to find it.